Good evening, listeners. You're tuned in to Station Name, your trusted source for news, weather, and the occasional late night conspiracy theory. It's another quiet night in the city, and we're here to keep you company through the early hours. Let's start with the basics. Traffic is light, as expected, with only a few late commuters still on the roads. The weather? Unremarkable. Mild temperatures, a clear sky, and just the faintest breeze. Rolling in from the west. Nothing to suggest that tonight is anything other than ordinary. In local news, officials are still investigating last night's minor chemical spill near location, though they assure the public there is no cause for concern, just a routine containment effort, they say. No health risks, no strange side effects, no reason to panic, and yet, maybe it's just me, but there's something in the air tonight, something that feels off. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's the silence, I think, the kind of quiet that settles deep in your bones, like the city itself is holding its breath. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to the phones. Looks like we've got a caller on the line. Caller's name. You're on the air. What's on your mind? A pause, then a static-laced breath, and a hesitant voice. Have you been seeing the reports? Reports? I frown, adjusting my headset. You'll have to be more specific, friend. What reports? The caller exhales sharply. It started on the local forums. Just a few people at first. They were talking about this itch deep under the skin. They said it felt like something was moving inside them. And now it's everywhere. Twitter, emergency scanner feeds. People are... A crackle of interference distorts the line. Scratching until they bleed. I open a browser tab, half expecting some elaborate prank. But there it is. Scattered posts, buried beneath the usual noise of social media. I can't stop scratching. Something is wrong with my skin. I don't feel right. My body doesn't belong to me. Outside the station, sirens wail. Distant, but growing closer. I thought it was fake, the caller whispers, but then I saw it myself. My neighbor. She was standing in her front yard, staring at her hands, just digging into her arms like she was trying to peel something away. I called out to her, but she just... A breathless pause. She just looked at me and laughed. My pulse quickens. This isn't normal. I clear my throat. All right, let's not jump to conclusions. Could be an allergic reaction, some kind of mass hysteria. A second call comes through, cutting me off. I saw someone rip their face off. A new voice gasps, and they were smiling. The phone line clicks, and a new voice fills the air. Steady, professional, but carrying an unmistakable edge of concern. This is Dr. Alan Grayson. I don't usually call into programs like this, but I need someone to listen. Something is happening, and it's not just paranoia. It's real. I sit up straighter. A doctor. Finally, someone with answers. Go ahead, doctor, I say. What have you seen? I work in the ER. In the past 6 hours, we've admitted over 30 patients, all with the same symptoms. Severe, uncontrollable scratching. But it's not just that. They say they can feel something beneath their skin. Moving. Growing. They describe it like... He hesitates. Like it doesn't belong to them. My fingers tighten around the mic. What do you mean? Doesn't belong to them? That's just it, he says, voice low. They keep saying, this isn't me. Static crackles briefly. I glance at the monitor, more callers waiting. The city is awake now. Have you found any cause? A toxin? An infection? A deep breath. Nothing. Blood work is clean. No pathogens, no allergic reactions, no signs of drug use. It's like their minds are rejecting their own bodies. A shiver runs through me. And the worst part, His voice drops. They don't stop. Sedatives wear off too quickly. Restraints? Useless. They keep tearing at themselves like they're trying to get something out. And some of them, he pauses. Some of them are smiling while they do it. The station falls silent. My mouth is dry. Doctor, what are you saying? Another pause. I don't know, he admits, but I think we're already too late. The line goes dead. The next caller is already on the line. A sharp breath, then a whisper. I saw it happen. The voice is young, male, shaken. Who is this? I ask. It doesn't matter. Just listen. The line crackles. A long, rattling inhale. I was walking home from work. I saw this guy standing under a streetlight, just staring at his hands. At first, I thought he was on something, but then he started scratching. Slow at first, then faster, harder, until his skin... A strangled noise. It peeled away, like he wasn't even in pain. My skin crawls. And you're sure he wasn't just hallucinating? I'm sure, the caller snaps, because when he looked up at me, when I saw his face, there was nothing left. No skin, no eyelids. Just red exposed. And he, smiled? He smiled. A shudder runs through me. What did you do? I ran and I didn't look back. A long pause. But that's not the worst part. I gripped the desk. What is... Before I ran, I swear, I saw something underneath. It was moving. The silence stretches, heavy and suffocating. Then the caller whispers, I don't think we were supposed to see this. A loud click. The call disconnects. I don't breathe. I don't move. Then the phones start ringing again. The phone lines are still lighting up, but I don't take another call. Not yet. I need to process what I've just heard. The doctor, the terrified witness, the reports flooding in. But the world isn't slowing down for me. A new bulletin flashes across my monitor. City hospitals reach maximum capacity. Emergency rooms overwhelmed. I scan the update, heartbeat hammering. Doctors unable to determine cause of self-mutilation. Symptoms spreading. Public advised to remain indoors. Remain indoors. That phrase again, the official language of we don't know what's happening, but it's bad. I exhale. Clicking on another report. Multiple hospitals are in lockdown. Patients refusing treatment. Some attacking medical staff, screaming that their skin isn't theirs. A new call comes through. Urgent. The voice on the other end frantic. Please, you have to listen. I'm a nurse at hospital name. We don't know what to do. What's happening? I ask, already dreading the answer. They won't stop. No drugs work. No restraints hold them. It's like they don't feel pain anymore. They keep clawing and peeling. But the worst ones just sit there smiling. The line crackles as she breathes heavily, whispering now. One of the doctors tried to sew up a patient's arms. The man just started laughing, said we were wasting our time, that none of this was real. A chill crawls up my spine. And then he reached into the stitches and started pulling. A dial tone. The call is gone. I don't speak for a long moment. What would I even say? The official reports are useless. Anomalous psychosis. Possible unknown contagion. Neurological response to environmental factors. Meaningless words. Just different ways of saying we have no idea what's happening. The government's health department insists it's an infection, some kind of chemical exposure, maybe airborne. But then a neuroscientist claims it could be a parasite, one that alters perception. A behavioral psychologist argues for mass hysteria. None of them explain the footage I'm seeing now. The video is grainy, filmed on a phone from inside what looks like a hospital corridor. Nurses are screaming, gurneys overturned. A man in a hospital gown stands in the center of the chaos, eyes wide, mouth stretched into something between a grin and a grimace. His hands move to his face. And then he peels. The skin on his cheeks comes away like a mask. The muscles underneath twitch, glistening, red. And still, he's smiling. The video cuts out. I grip the edge of my desk, nausea twisting in my stomach. None of this makes sense. None of it should be possible. A new voice breaks through the static of my thoughts. Another caller on the line. Software whispering. I don't think this is a disease. The phone line crackles again. Another call. I hesitate before answering, my hands clammy against the desk. The last few calls have left a weight in my chest, a slow, creeping dread that I can't shake. This is station name. You're on the air. No response at first, just shallow, uneven breathing. Then a voice, a woman, whispering. Please don't hang up. I don't know how much time I have. Who is this? I ask, forcing my voice to stay steady. I'm a nurse. At hospital name. Or I was. I left. I had to. Something in the way she says it makes my stomach tighten. Why did you leave? A ragged breath? Because they wouldn't stop screaming. I checked the monitor. The hospital is still under lockdown. The city's best medical teams are in there, supposedly treating the afflicted. What do you mean? The patients? Yes. But it's what they're screaming. It's not random. They're all saying the same thing. The line crackles, and for a second, I think I've lost her. Under the skin, she whispers. They say it's under their skin. My pulse pounds in my ears. A parasite? I ask. Some kind of infection? No. She swallows hard. They're not asking for help. They're begging. Begging for what? A pause. Then she exhales shakily. To be let out. I grip the desk. Who? The patients? No. A soft, horrified sob. The things inside them? I stare at the mic, my throat dry. Some of them fight it, she continues. They scratch and claw, trying to keep it in. But others just stop screaming. They sit there, staring, like they've accepted it. Accepted what? The line crackles again. That the bodies they're in don't belong to them anymore. A sharp click. The call disconnects. I don't move. The silence stretches, thick and suffocating. The monitor in front of me blinks with notifications, updates, alerts, more callers waiting to be heard. But there's something else. A gnawing feeling in my gut. The official sources haven't said a word since the first vague warnings. No live press conferences, no statements from doctors, no explanations. Remain indoors, they said. Stay calm. Await further instructions. But there are no further instructions. Hospitals are collapsing under the weight of something they can't explain. People are tearing at themselves, screaming that their bodies aren't theirs. And yet, there's only silence from those who are supposed to keep us safe. I lean toward the mic, my voice lower than before. If anyone out there is listening, tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what's happening where you are. A long pause. Then, the phone rings. The phones keep ringing, but I don't answer. I'm staring at my screen, at a video that I wish I could unsee. It started circulating an hour ago. First on private forums, then on the darker corners of social media. Now it's everywhere. A leaked recording from a suburban home. Timestamped just last night. A family of 4 sits in their living room. A father, a mother, 2 children. They are smiling. Not the kind of smile you force for a photo. Not the kind you flash when you're trying to reassure someone. These are wide, unblinking grins. The father is the first to move. Slowly, methodically, his fingers press into his cheek. He grips the skin, pulling, gently at first, then harder. It stretches, then tears. He peels his own face away. Not in jagged chunks, not in desperate clawing motions like the others. Number this is careful, precise. The flesh comes off in smooth, practiced layers, sliding away like wet cloth, until there is nothing left but red muscle and teeth. And still, he smiles. The mother follows, then the children. They peel together, no screams, no pain, no hesitation, just acceptance. The video ends. I don't move. This isn't hysteria. This isn't an infection. I take a slow, shaky breath and lean toward the mic. My voice feels small, swallowed by the silence. If anyone else has seen this footage, if you know where it came from, call me. Tell me what you know. The phone lines are still flashing. More people trying to reach me. More voices in the dark. I press a button and the next call connects. You're almost ready, a child's voice says. And then the line goes dead. The sirens haven't stopped. For the past hour, they've wailed nonstop, a constant screaming backdrop to the chaos. Police scanners are nothing but frantic voices and garbled transmissions. Code after code, all overlapping. Disturbances, assaults, officers down, no clear instructions, no control. They've lost the city. An official statement was supposed to come through 10 minutes ago. It never did. I refreshed the government emergency page, but it just loads and loads, stuck in an endless cycle of nothing. That's when it happens. A bulletin flashes across my monitor, a leaked memo from inside law enforcement. The subject line alone makes my stomach drop. Officers advised to stand down, evacuate if necessary. They're abandoning their posts. The police, our supposed last line of defense, are pulling out. Some of them have joined the infected, driven to the same madness, clawing at their own flesh. Others simply walk away. Weapons left on the ground, badges discarded like they don't matter anymore. And that's when I realize there is no one left to protect us. A new caller breaks through, voice raw, breathless. They're in my building. The cops were here, but they just left. I don't know what to do. A loud bang, then screams, footsteps, a door crashing open. The caller gasps, chokes, and then the line cuts out. The sirens keep wailing. I don't know when the first riot started, but now they're everywhere. A live feed from a news helicopter before it goes dark shows hundreds, maybe thousands, flooding the streets. People running, fighting, tearing at each other. But this isn't just panic. It's deliberate. The reports come in fast, groups moving together, chanting, faces bloodied, but smiling. They grab strangers, clawing at their skin, screaming, "Let it out! Let it out!" Some victims fight back, others don't. A video surfaces. A woman standing in the middle of a burning intersection, arms spread wide, laughing as a group descends on her. They pull at her arms, her neck, her face, and then she peels. Not clawing, not panicked, but willingly. Her voice rings out over the fire and screams, "I see it now!" The news station covering it cuts to static. My phone lines are overloaded. I press one at random. A shaky voice, male sobbing. "They tried to take my wife. They said she wasn't real, that her skin was fake. They kept." A breathless gasp. "Oh God, they got my neighbor. They're in my yard now." A heavy silence. "They see me." Click. The call drops. And outside, past the studio walls, I swear, I hear laughter. The phones haven't stopped ringing. I don't even screen the next one. I just answer. "You're on the air." At first, there's only breathing. Shallow, ragged. Then a voice, low, shaking. "They're in my house." My stomach twists. "Who's in your house?" A faint rustling on the other end, like someone moving under a bed or inside a closet. When the voice returns, it's a whisper. They don't knock. They don't break in. They just walk inside, like they belong here. I check the station feed. More videos, more reports. The same thing, over and over. People just letting them in. "Are you hidden?" I ask. "Do you have a weapon?" A sharp inhale, like, "It doesn't matter. They're not looking for me. They're waiting for me. Waiting for what? The caller exhales shakily. They keep whispering, "Wake up." Something rustles again, closer. A creak, like a door easing open. Then a new sound, a voice barely audible, so close to the receiver, it makes my skin crawl. "It's time!" The caller gasps. The phone clatters to the ground. Then silence. I sit frozen, gripping the mic. "Hello? Are you still there?" No response, just the soft, rhythmic sound of breathing. But it's not the callers. A click. The line goes dead. I refresh the news sites. Nothing. The major networks, the ones still broadcasting, are looping the same emergency message. "Remain indoors. Await further instruction." But no one is giving instructions anymore. I switch to social media. That's where the real news spreads, right? The things they don't want us to see, and it's flooded. A single phrase, repeated over and over again. The skin is a lie. It's in every language. Accounts posting nonstop. Some human, some empty profiles that weren't active until today. Bots, or something worse? People are replying, asking what it means. Others say they feel it now too. Then the first video surfaces. A girl, no older than 10, staring into the camera, eyes too wide, face too still. "You don't have to be afraid," she says. She reaches for her cheek. The video ends. The calls, the riots, the people peeling themselves apart. I thought it was an infection, some kind of biological attack, a parasite, a toxin, but it's not. It's not spreading the way a virus does. A new message appears in the chat feed. "Stop listening." Then another. "It knows you hear it." I swallow hard. This isn't in the air. It's not in the water. It's in words, the way people talk about it, the way they understand it, the way they accept it. That's why the police left. That's why the hospitals are useless. That's why people aren't fighting back. It's spreading through awareness, and I'm broadcasting it. The realization makes me feel sick. I close my eyes, gripping the desk. The phones are ringing again. I don't want to answer, but I have to. A high-pitched tone blares through my headset, followed by a monotone voice. This is an emergency broadcast issued by the National Alert System. Citizens are advised to remain indoors. Do not engage with affected individuals. Remain calm. Await further instruction. That's it. That's all they say. No cause, no cure, no plan. Just stay inside and wait. I let the words hang in the air, replaying in my mind. Something about the way they were spoken. Not urgent, not alarmed, just cold. A pre-recorded script. I checked the official news sites, looking for a statement from health officials, from law enforcement, from anyone in charge. But there's nothing. No press conferences. No doctors explaining symptoms. No footage of people being treated. Only silence. The government isn't giving us answers. They're giving us instructions. My fingers tighten around the mic. I force my voice to stay steady. If this is a medical crisis, where are the hospitals? If this is an outbreak, where are the containment zones? If this is under control, why are the police abandoning their posts? No response. But the chat feed, my private messages, the unfiltered side of the internet is exploding. People aren't waiting for official updates anymore. They're sharing what they see, and what they see is worse than we were told. A new message comes through. They're not treating the victims, they're getting rid of them. I hesitate. What do you mean? A video link appears. I click it, and I wish I hadn't. The footage is shaky, filmed from behind a half-open door. A hospital corridor dimly lit, bodies on gurneys. Some strapped down, still struggling, their fingers clawing at the restraints. Others are limp, unmoving. Then footsteps. 2 figures step into frame, dressed in hazmat suits. Their voices are muffled, but their movements aren't frantic, not urgent, calm, methodical. They approach the first patient, a woman, wrists bound, head twitching against the restraints. Her mouth moves, forming silent words. One of them leans in, as if listening. Then, without hesitation, he injects something into her neck. She jerks, convulses, then goes still. The person in the hazmat suit turns to his partner and nods. Next one. The camera shakes, the person filming gasping in horror. Then it cuts out. I swallow hard, replaying the final seconds in my mind. They're not treating them, they're eliminating them. I force myself to breathe. If this is a disease, why aren't they trying to cure it? If this is a mental break, why are they silencing the ones who have it? Another message appears in my feed. Because it's not a disease, it's something else. I blink. Then what is it? A pause, then a final reply. They don't want us to know. The studio is too quiet now. My own breath sounds too loud. I turn back to the mic. If anyone out there has seen something, if you know what's really happening, call me. The phone rings. I pick up. A voice, low, trembling. I think I know the truth. The phone rings again. This time, it's not another terrified caller. It's a blocked number. I hesitate before answering. You're on the air. A voice, sharp, controlled, and urgent. You need to listen carefully. I don't have much time. I sit up, heart pounding. Who is this? My name doesn't matter, they say, but I worked for them. I was inside the containment sites. I know what's happening. I glance at the live chat. Listeners are already flooding the feed with comments. All right, I say. What do you know? The scientist takes a deep breath. This isn't an infection. This isn't a virus or a parasite. It's not chemical exposure. It's something else. Then what is it? A pause. Then the words come slow, deliberate. It's a revelation. The air feels colder. I don't understand, I say. You will, the scientist replies. So will everyone. That's the problem. The moment you see it, really see it, it's too late. You can't unlearn it. You can't go back. My throat is dry. Are you saying this is mental? A kind of a mimetic trigger? Number. It's deeper than that. It's not a hallucination. It's reality pulling back the curtain. You ever wonder why they're peeling themselves apart? Why they smile when they do it? I don't answer. Because they're waking up, they say. And the ones in charge, the ones keeping this quiet, they're terrified of what happens next. A click echoes over the line, like another call trying to break in. The scientist exhales sharply. They know I'm talking to you. I have to go. Wait! The signal distorts. A rising whine floods the frequency, drowning out the words. Then static. The call is gone. I stare at the console, heart hammering. A new message flashes on my monitor. Disconnected. Line interference. The chat explodes. Everyone is asking the same thing. Where did they go? And more importantly, what were they trying to say? The studio lights flicker. I don't know if it's a power surge or something else, but my signal monitor just spiked. Interference. The frequency is unstable. I try to adjust the feed, but the station logs show something strange. Multiple independent news sources just went offline. Some cut to emergency broadcasts. Others, static. It's not a coincidence. I check my inbox. Several reporters I trust have gone dark. Accounts deleted, numbers disconnected. One managed to get a message through before their feed went silent. They're shutting us down. It's not just the news, it's anyone asking questions. Then, another email. No sender, no subject. Just 3 words. Stop transmitting now. I stare at it, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Is this a warning? A threat? Or something worse? The radio static hisses through my headset. Someone is trying to force me off the air. The interference is getting stronger, like something is pressing against the signal, warping it. I tap the mic, my voice steady but thin. If you're listening, if you still have reception, let me know. Call in. Tell me if you can hear this. Nothing. Then a new noise. Not static, not interference. A voice. Low. Distorted. I can't make out the words, but it sounds wrong. Warped. like it's trying to shape itself into something I understand. Then, silence. I exhale slowly, gripping the desk. They're shutting everything down. But why now? What are they trying to stop us from hearing? I've spent the last hour trying to find a pattern, a reason, a cause. And now I'm starting to think, what if this wasn't an accident? What if someone wanted this to happen? The way the government stayed silent, the way the hospitals were abandoned, the way law enforcement just walked away like they knew, like they expected it. And if they knew, why didn't they warn us? My inbox pings again. Another message, unsigned. You're asking the wrong questions. It's not about why it happened. It's about what comes next. I don't want to read it again, but I do. What comes next? I check the station's security feed. The streets outside are empty now. No rioters, no police, no one left to scream. Just silence. And in the distance, barely audible over the dead air, something new. See? Laughter. I keep refreshing the news feeds, waiting for someone, anyone, to offer an explanation that makes sense. The government says it's a neurological disorder, a rare reaction to an unknown toxin. Medical experts are calling it a severe psychological breakdown, mass hysteria. A new theory is gaining traction, a parasitic infection, something deep under the skin, forcing people to shed what isn't theirs. But none of these explain what I've seen. None explain why people are peeling themselves open with such calm acceptance. None explain why they smile. A new report comes through. A team of neuroscientists attempted brain scans on affected individuals. The results are number, not results, nothing. The scans showed no abnormalities, no chemical imbalances, no foreign bodies in the brain, just normal people, functioning, conscious. A professor goes on record, if this were a neurotoxin, we'd see damage. If it were a parasite, we'd detect it. If it were hysteria, it wouldn't spread like this. Then he asks the question I've been dreading. What if we're not looking at an illness? What if we're looking at a change? A change. I scroll through live threads, desperate for something tangible. Someone posts a journal entry from a survivor. It's not madness. It's clarity. The moment you stop fighting it, you understand. The moment you let go, you see the truth. The truth. I push back from the mic, hands unsteady. There has to be a rational explanation. There has to be. Because if there isn't, then this isn't something we can stop. It's something we become. And maybe, just maybe, it was always meant to happen. The lines are still open. Somewhere out there, someone has to know more. I take a deep breath. I answer the next call. Tell me what you see. I don't believe in folklore. I don't believe in ghosts, demons, or the things people whisper about when the lights go out. But right now, science isn't giving me answers. And when reason fails, people start looking elsewhere. A new caller comes through, his voice low, hushed. I think I know what's happening, he says. Go ahead, I reply, bracing myself. My grandmother used to tell stories, he begins. Old stories. Things she said were never meant to be written down. Things that lived in the dark corners of the world, waiting. The line crackles. She called them the skinless ones. She said they weren't demons, not spirits, not aliens, just something else. I glance at my monitor. Listeners are already reacting. The chat feed lighting up with similar stories, legends from different cultures. What did she say about them? I ask. That they never looked like themselves. That they wore us, our faces, our bodies. But only for a while. I don't respond. She said they don't die. The caller continues. They just get tired. They stay inside the flesh for as long as they can. And then a pause. and then they take it off. A shiver crawls down my spine. Are you saying? I'm saying maybe this isn't new. He cuts in. Maybe it's always been like this. Maybe we just forgot. The chat explodes with theories, messages flying so fast I can barely read them. Look at old paintings! Some cultures have stories just like this. What if we were never alone? I swallow hard. And you believe this? I ask. The caller exhales. I didn't, he says, until my neighbor peeled off his face, and smiled at me. A sharp click. The line goes dead. And for the first time tonight, I don't want to answer the next call. But I do, because if the legends are true, then this isn't an infection. It's a return. The phone rings again. I hesitate before answering. The last caller spoke of ancient things. Things that wear us, things that discard us. Now, someone else wants to be heard. I press the button. You're on the air. A shaky breath. Then a voice, low, trembling. A pause. A wet gulping sound like the caller is struggling to steady himself. I am Father Elijah. I don't have long. A priest. Go ahead, Father. You need to understand, he says, his voice thick with something I can't place. Grief? Fear? Resignation? This is not a sickness. It is not madness. It is not human. I grip the mic. Then what is it? A choked sob. They are shedding their false forms. The words hang, twisting in my ears. False forms? We were never meant to look like this, he whispers. A pause. Father, I need you to explain. His breathing quickens. You don't understand. This skin, this body, it was never real. It was given to us. A mask, a cage. The chat feed erupts. People are demanding proof, calling him insane, begging him to keep talking. Who gave it to us? I press. I don't know, he confesses, but I know what comes next. A long silence. Tell me. His voice breaks. They're waking up. The ones who remember, the ones who refuse to wear the disguise any longer, and when enough of them wake up, a deep inhale. The rest of us will have to see the truth too. A loud bang in the background. A door? Heavy footsteps? They found me, he gasps. God forgive me. A sharp click. The line goes dead. And for the first time tonight, I don't say anything. I just sit there staring at the mic, wondering if he was right. Because if we were never meant to look like this, then what do we really look like? I try the phone lines. Nothing. I try my producer's number, then my co-hosts, then the emergency backup. Dead air. The chat feed is still moving, but something is wrong. People are asking the same question. Where is everyone? I refresh the station's security cameras. The hallways are empty. The break room, the control booth, no movement. I tell myself, maybe they left. Maybe they just walked out. Maybe they saw what was happening and ran. But if that were true, someone would have called me. I switched to the emergency broadcast channel, expecting to hear the same pre-recorded government message. Instead, silence. The entire station has gone quiet. My fingers hover over the console, listening, waiting. Then, a sound. Faint, barely audible. A breath. A shift of air. Someone else is here. I force myself to speak. My voice is steadier than I feel. If anyone out there can hear me, I need to know I'm not alone. The response isn't a phone call. It's not a message. It's laughter. Distant, slow, deliberate. I check the security feed again, still empty. The laughter grows louder, but not from the monitors, from the hallway. I grip the mic, swallowing hard. I need to know if anyone is listening. More laughter, closer. The lights flicker. A sharp whine rips through my headset. A burst of static that drowns out everything. The interference spikes. My equipment hisses. The dials spin erratically. And then a voice. Not a caller. Not the government. Something else. Something wrong. The words slither through the frequency, warped and distorted, barely human. Wake up! The lights cut out. The console dies. The entire station plunges into darkness. I don't breathe. I don't move. I wait. In the silence, something shifts. A presence, close, watching. Then, through the dead air, oh, you're almost ready. And just like that, I lock the doors. Not that it matters. If they wanted in, they'd already be here. The station is silent now. Too silent. No calls, no interference, no more voices pleading for help. Just me and whatever's outside. I strain to hear something. Anything. Sirens, screams, footsteps. But the city is quiet. Like it's waiting. The emergency lights cast long, thin shadows against the walls. My breath is too loud. My pulse a hammer in my skull. I check the monitors again. The hallways are empty. The parking lot is empty. The streets are empty. Except, number I lean closer. Something is moving. Not walking, not running, shifting. A slow, deliberate motion just beyond the range of the cameras. Like they know I'm watching. I don't look away. I can't. Then, from somewhere deep in the station, a noise. Not a bang. Not a scream. A soft, wet sound. Peeling. My stomach twists. I force myself back to the mic, gripping it so tight my knuckles ache. If anyone is still listening, I need to know you're out there. The signal flickers. My own voice warps in my ears, distorting, unraveling. And then, a new sound. Not static, not interference, laughter, slow, quiet, just outside the door. I press my back against the wall, heart hammering. It's not over. I was never meant to report this. I was meant to hear it. I was meant to understand. And now I think I do. I can't do this anymore. The station manual says to stay professional, stay calm, stick to the script. But what's the point of protocol when the world outside is falling apart? I lean forward, gripping the mic with shaking hands. My voice is raw, cracking at the edges. If you're still out there, if you can hear this, I need you to tell me what you see. Silence. The station hums around me. Empty. Hollow. The blinking red light on the console reminds me I'm still broadcasting, still talking to someone. But who? I try again. Are the streets empty? Are there still people? Are they normal? Static. A creeping sense of wrongness settles over me. The chat feed used to be flooded, people sharing updates, desperate messages, prayers. But now, it's quiet. I refresh the screen. The messages are still there, but they're all identical. The skin is a lie. Over and over, rows and rows of it, filling the feed, repeating endlessly. I push back from the desk, my breath shallow. Please, I whisper into the mic. Someone, anyone, just tell me you're real. A sound flickers through the static. Not words. Breathing. Deep. Slow. Too close to the mic. I freeze. Who is this? No answer. But in the distance, beyond the station walls, I hear something. A low, distorted voice carried through the night. Whispering, laughing, and then the static swallows everything. The phone rings, not static, not interference. A real call. I hesitate before answering. My fingers stiff, breath shallow. My whole body screams don't pick up, but I do. You're on the air, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Silence. Then, a child's voice. Software steady, too calm. You're almost ready. The words sink into me, crawling under my skin, wrapping around my ribs. Who is this? I demand, gripping the mic with white-knuckled hands. No answer. What do you mean, almost ready? A quiet giggle. Not mocking, not cruel. Patient. You fought it for so long, the child murmurs. But you're starting to see, aren't you? My heartbeat slams against my chest. See what? Your reflection. The monitors flicker, and the station feels smaller. I don't understand, I rasp. You will. The line clicks. Silence. I stare at the console, my body frozen, my mind reeling, almost ready, starting to see my reflection. I turn to the dark glass of the studio window, throat tight, lungs burning. I know what I'll see. I know. But I look anyway, and I finally understand. I don't know how long I sit there. Seconds? Minutes? Time feels stretched, pulled thin. The child's words still cling to me. You're almost ready. Ready for what? My fingers are ice cold against the desk, my pulse uneven, my breath shallow. I check my reflection again. It's me, but not. Something is wrong. Not my skin, not my face, my eyes. I don't recognize them. They're too still, too aware, like they're seeing me for the first time. I look away, gripping the mic like an anchor. I don't think this was ever an infection, I whisper. Static crackles in response, like something on the other end is listening. I don't think we were ever sick. The realization spreads through me, sinking into my bones. All the theories. Neurological disorder, parasite, hysteria. None of them fit. People weren't dying. They weren't losing their minds. They were changing. No, returning. A shift in perception, like waking up from a dream you didn't know you were having. And the ones who resisted, they were the ones screaming. The ones tearing at their own skin, clawing at the false reality they'd been forced into. Because they finally understood. They saw the truth. And they wanted out. My throat is dry. My hands won't stop shaking. If anyone is still listening, I pause. I need you to ask yourself something. I swallow hard, staring at the blinking red light on the console. When was the last time you really looked at yourself? The static shifts. Something beneath it. Not quite a voice, not quite a sound. I glance at the window again, pulse hammering. My reflection is still watching me. And now, it's smiling. The static is growing louder. The console flickers. The lights dim. The station is dying. Or maybe I am. The reflection in the glass, my reflection, is still smiling. Still watching me. Like it's waiting. Like it knows something I don't. The microphone crackles in my ears. The signal twisting, pulling apart at the edges. I press closer, my breath shaky. I hesitate, the words catching in my throat. Who am I talking to? Is there anyone still listening? Or are they all gone? Or worse, are they awake? The static pulses, an unnatural rhythm like breathing, like a presence. I grip the desk, forcing myself to speak. If you can hear me, I need you to listen. No response. You're not sick. The radio whines, a shrill, bending sound. This was never an infection. The station trembles around me. The interference surges. You need to understand. And then the signal cuts out. The airwaves go silent. For one terrible second, I think it's over. But it isn't. Because something else, is still here. A whisper slithers through the static, threading itself into the dead air. A voice, stretched and warped, spilling through the broken transmission. Now you see. A cold weight sinks into my chest. The reflection in the glass tilts its head. I finally understand. And then, the broadcast ends. And now, the signal is fading. Maybe this is the last time I'll speak to you. Maybe this is the last time anyone will speak. Or maybe we were never supposed to be speaking at all. But before I go, before the static swallows this broadcast, I want to leave you with something. A thought. A question. If everything you knew about yourself, about the world, was a lie, would you want to wake up? Would you fight to stay the same? To hold on to the illusion? Or would you let go? Because I think that's what this was always about. Not an infection, not a catastrophe, a choice. And maybe, just maybe, we were always meant to make it. So tell me, what would you do? Would you resist? Would you run? Would you try to hold on to what you think is real? Or would you look into the mirror and see? Let me know in the comments. Tell me, what do you believe happened here? What would you do if the world around you started unraveling? And if you want more broadcasts like this, make sure to subscribe. Your support keeps this signal alive. And if you think someone else needs to hear this, share it with them. Because no one should face the truth alone. The transmission is ending. Until next time. If there is a next time, stay safe, stay aware, and most importantly, wake up.